My name is Mike Wilson, and in response to your question, I feel like the budget repair bill and the proposed biennial budget submitted by the governor that is to be reviewed here at UWSP tomorrow, as well as in 3 other locations across the state in the next couple of weeks, will be highly destructive to the working class and the middle class in the state. Will be destructive because it will take away quality public services. It will take away pay for quality public employees. We won't be able to attract them. We won't be able to retain them. Poor people will lose their means of transportation to work because entire transportation systems, transit systems all over the state are closing. Poor people who can't afford food, can't afford Medicare, can't afford their health care are going to lose it because there's a bunch of new exclusions coming up. Planned Parenthood clinics are going to close down entirely. They're completely defunded. Also, reproductive care for men and women is going to be severely defunded and restricted in a lot of socially conservative ways that are generally exclusive of humans and violating their human right to health care. So yeah, it'll be destructive for us immediately, it'll be destructive for us in the long term, and as a human being, as a member of the community, I can only be held responsible for how I respond to it.
All right, my name is Seth Hoffmeister, and I'm a student at UW-Stevens Point. Behave.
Thank you.
But the proposed budget and the budget repair bill, personally, as a student, directly affects me. Obviously, there's $250 million in cuts from the UW system, $125 million of which is going to the remaining half, or the remaining majority of the severed UW system. There's a lot of things, both financially and structurally, specific to higher education, that really affect me as a student and have a negative impact on the quality of the education that I receive. Biddy Martin's genius plan to split UW-Madison from the UW system I see as not only being a detriment to students today, but students tomorrow who are going to be forced to have to deal with the compromise and the quality of education that the UW system really brings. I mean, with 13 two-year colleges, 11 comprehensive 4 years, and 2 4-year research institutions, we really have the best of the best in the country. But through these cuts, through the provisions in this budget, it is really, sacrificing the quality that we pay for. Personally, my mother works for the schools, my brother works for the schools in Eau Claire, where I'm from, and their compensation, their benefits package, the health care they receive, isn't that great to begin with, but the fact that they're taking away that, even more so, really, on a personal level, kind of drives home. And the thing about this bill that's really gotten so many people to come out is that there's so much contained in this agenda. There's so many implications that it really affects different people in so many different ways. But through all of that, it's been a tremendous coming together. So Scott Walker, if you by chance see this, I want to thank you for uniting Wisconsin, because despite all of your corporate-backed attempts to divide, systematically divide and conquer the people of Wisconsin, we're coming together and we're standing up. And I'm glad that you chose UW-Stevens Point as the location to have our voices be heard.
Hi, my name is Katie Cove. I currently live in Stevens Point, and I did go to school here at UWSP. I was born in Wausau, which is in Marathon County, and now I live in Portage County, but they're very close. So I guess this summer, right now I'm a yoga instructor, but this summer me and my partner are moving still in Wisconsin. We're going to start our own farm, and that's building off of a lot of different years of farming experience, and also partially due to the CRP program. Otherwise it'd be kind of hard to make that happen. And I just want to read off, this is what I'm going to be reading in front of the Joint Finance Committee hearing individuals today, and we're very lucky that they're here. So anyway, I just want to tell them that first off, this budget is classist and it's racist, as the poor and minority groups will be absorbing a large part of all of the budget's effects, as that often happens anyway. And one of the only reasons I can eat well in the winter as an individual is because me and my partner largely exist off of the food share food stamps program, which will be drastically cut. And also Badger Care, which is an option for me, as my insurance options will be diminishing once I turn 27 under my parents, will also be null and void. So I don't really know what I'm going to do when that happens. And I don't go to the doctor that much, but it is one of those things that if you do need a major operation or if you do need antibiotics, they can be extremely expensive, and I look to not make a lot of money. So, in conjunction with that, as a concerned small-scale organic farmer, I am deeply disturbed looking at the budget today, again, trying to make sure I had my facts straight before I spoke, was that there is thousands of dollars of increased funding for the public food, health, and safety programs, which has historically benefited only large-scale factory farms and the chemicals they use to process foods, which are also largely benefactors to why people get cancer in the first place. So that's something that really concerns me. And it's kind of hidden. A lot of people don't know what that means. And because we're involved in the farming community, we do know what that means, and that's really bothersome. People are like, oh, public food and health safety, that can't be so bad. But just so you know, most of the time it is. And I guess I wanted to reiterate to anyone that'll watch this and to the committee today that we now live in a time where public universities are funded over 53% by private dollars, which technically makes them not public. And we're also living in a state where they continue to cut access to health and schools. So Stevens Point School District here, which is one of the larger ones in the state, will have a cut of about $6.5 million. I don't know what they're going to do. And also food, like I said, for the food share program. It's clear to me that they only want the rich and the white to survive and be educated. So I think it's really important, especially with the first JFC here today, where it's primarily white people speaking, and maybe the sentiment isn't getting heard, that this budget is very racist and classist, and those are the people it will affect the most. It will clearly affect everyone, but also those very marginalized groups of people. And it's clear that they want to bury the rest of us that aren't in that demographic because they have largely increased public funding for state aid to funerals. So it's a really interesting connection to make. It's not conspiracy theory, it's in black and white. And I guess another point I wanted to make is I was raised in a really conservative family, and my parents had to sacrifice a lot for me to have the opportunities I have, and it wasn't even enough to put me through college and help co-sign on all my loans. So that's something for people to think about while they keep making cuts to public school districts and post-secondary education and healthcare and what have you. Because in conjunction with having to sign off on loans or pay for schooling, you also have to eat, and you need food, and you need housing. So where do I get all that money from? I don't know. I don't have that kind of money. So even people in my family are very, very conservative and usually don't get as involved in the monetary issues because they think budget cuts are good and cutting taxes is good. They're very outraged by this. So people that are part of the conservative faction that also say they're standing up for conservative morals and ideologies. My parents are big into local governments, and there's a huge slash in local government funding. So they're not very happy with people that are identifying as conservative in this whole budget matter as well. So they should know that even the conservatives, they want their GOP back, and that's not me, but that's my family, and that's where I come from. So, racist and conservative undertones. Yeah.